now we've moved on to the ready brake install. So this is all the stuff that came with the ready brake. We got zip ties and a couple things here. We've got the deal that attaches onto the brake pedal. We've got the cable that runs through from the brake pedal to the front end. And then this is the part that you clip from the ready brake to the ring that'll be hanging out of the front of the bumper. Alright, let's get started on this one. Take out the floor mat and pull the carpet back where we can see what we're doing. Alrighty, should be good enough. I'm gonna go right behind the brake pedal here. Okay, so this rubber piece here is kind of directly behind the pedal where I need. So I took a knife and I cut it down the side here so I could pull it down. Now what I'm probably gonna do, and this is really gonna be a challenging one to film, but what I'm going to do is pull this back and drill my pilot hole right there directly behind the brake pedal and see where that puts me out on the other side. And then a pilot hole, it says to drill it with an 1/8 inch drill bit. So I got my 1/8 inch and I'm going to make that hole real quick. So I went ahead and cut the left side of this thing too, so I can really roll it down here out of the way and expose a good usable piece of the firewall. Alright, I left the drill bit in there. That's where I ended up drilling my hole. And that, right there on that bracket, is where the drill bit came out. So I'm okay with that. I think that'll be as good a place as any. So I'm gonna go with that and see how it works out. The next thing it says to do is upgrade to a 5/16 drill bit and drill it again where you had your first hole. So we're gonna do that real quick. Now we've got our 5/16 hole right there. You can see daylight through it. It's not obstructing anything. It's in a good location and it's in line with the brake pedal arm, which is, oh, see that? That's what you want to see, really lined up all nice and neat like that. Next thing we need to do is take our cable here and remove this piece out from the inside. And this just simply pulls out like that. Don't damage that or kink it. Right now you're just going to be working with this by itself. And we'll push this through the hole that we drilled from the engine side. And then this will be the part that gets routed up to the front bumper. Okay, let's try to do that real quick. I'm going to go over to the engine compartment, leave a flat washer on, push it into that hole, go inside and put a flat washer and a nut on it. Okay, so there it is, right there. And it was by mistake that I actually hit that bracket, but I'm kind of glad I did. I feel like that's going to give it even a little more strength. Then on the inside, I took a 1/2 inch socket and tightened the nut down real good, and then I cut a hole in the rubber mat, and there you can see that threaded end coming through. The next thing they want us to do is secure this with the zip ties and brackets and all that included. And the idea is it needs to come out right here, dead center, right underneath the license plate is what I'm thinking. That way it's pretty well lined up with the hitch. So let's give that a try. Alright, so this is how I routed it. You can see it here. I wedged it down under here. And it just so happens there was an open little bracket here. I ran it down underneath everything as much as possible. That way if I have to work on anything, it won't be in the way. And then it goes way down under there, underneath the fan. And you want to make sure and keep it free of, the pulleys, the fan, anything that could get tangled up with it or burn it or anything like that. Of course, you don't want it to touch the side of the motor or anything weird. And then get it coming out right here. So next thing we're going to do is drill our hole in the plastic and run it on through there with the little nylon piece. Okay, I drilled a hole right there in the license plate. We're going to thread this nylon nut on there. Okay, there we go. And on the back side, I'm going to try and not cut this. I'm going to see if I can't just kind of spin it around and put it in the fitting and not have to do any cutting. I may zip tie it over here to the side. We'll see how smoothly the cable moves through it, but I'd prefer to not have to cut it just in case I ever switch vehicles or something. You never know. Okay, so that is all ran. Okay, I just put a loop in it. Used one of the zip ties they gave me and I zip tied it there, so I didn't have to cut anything. Now if the cable does not move smoothly through this, then obviously I may have to cut it, but we'll see. Okay, now we're going to take our cable here and feed it through the system, and once it's through, then we'll attach it to our brake pedal. Okay, just like that. 17/16. This is our bracket here. This one through one. I'm thinking the Breakaway and this they kind of crisscross each other, so we probably don't need to tighten this up completely until we get the Breakaway in. But right now we've got the rear bracket and we got the cable run through like that. I'm pretty sure the Breakaway uses these other two holes and crisscrosses the other direction. I'm pretty sure that's how that works. But as far as alignment, this looks pretty good. It's lined up nicely. So I guess it's probably a good time to get out that Breakaway unit and see what it's all about. Okay, let's open up this Breakaway system. See what it's all about. I'm guessing this goes from the motorhome to the pickup. This mounts somewhere. So this way this works is if your tow vehicle separates from your motorhome, everything else fails, safety cables fail, everything is somehow compromised, and now your vehicle is basically leaving you. This cable being attached to the brake pedal pulls through here as it separates. The farther it pulls, the tighter it pulls your brake pedal down, until finally this is designed to brake, and then this does not come back the other direction. So this basically, once it locks your brake pedal down, it keeps it tight, keeps it locked down, so now your vehicle is going to come to a stop even though it's detached from the motorhome. Now to release this and pull it back through, you can push here on the threads and pull it back. So now I've got this little nylon deal here, and I guess this just keeps it from somebody, you know, pulling it by hand. This just kind of tightens it up. Although, you know, in an actual separation incident, since this is a nylon bolt, it will be able to still pull even though this is tightened down on it. And that just prevents any weird whatever. And then you tighten the little nut down on it, and that's that. That's how you set this thing up. And then this is the rest of it. I guess there's no conduit for this one. Because it's not designed to, you know, it's kind of an emergency last resort option. So there's no conduit to run it through. You know, whatever this were to damage, if activated, of course, would be a lot less damage than if your vehicle just sailed off into a ditch or something. So I guess that's kind of the idea here. This is not designed to be gentle. This is designed to fix an emergency situation. So, but with that being said, it should be a little easier to install. That's what I'm thinking. So we're going to use the little 1/8 inch drill bit again to get our pilot hole, and then this time we're only going to upgrade to the 3/16 since we don't have conduit to run through the firewall. From this thing, just on this side of this other bolt, right there, that should do the job just fine and not be in the way of anything. So let me get that drilled out real quick. And there's the hole right next to it. Now I think what they want you to do after you run the cable through is put silicone around that so it's sealed up. You know, like I said, this is emergency only device, so the silicone obviously would not inhibit it if it were needed to be activated, but it'll keep it sealed up in the, you know, normal operating conditions. 5/16, we'll take these off. We'll need to get that loop out of there so we can get it run through that little hole. This thing came with 4 self-tapping screws. So I mounted it right here to the frame. It was really easy. And then I took the cable and I just hooked it up under here. Since, you know, you can push the release and move it back and forth, I figured it should be out of the way where there's no chance of it getting hung up on anything, you know, rather than hanging out the front and maybe falling back onto the ground. I just clipped it up under here so it's completely safe. And when I need to use it, I'll unclip it and I'll run it out right here next to the base plate. I'll run it out there and use it, and then retract it and put it in here. So I'm probably going to leave a little slack. This is way too much slack, but I'm going to leave a little slack in the cab to accommodate for a little bit of movement. So that's all mounted up under there, and we'll go back in the cab and finish this off. Now that it's run through on the inside here, again through the rubber deal, we're going to crisscross it through the other way on this plate. Now, of course, the ready brake plate, we want it to be fairly tight, where there's not a whole lot of slack in it, but the Breakaway, it can have a little play in it. So let me put the camera down, get this fixed up here. I'm going to cross both of these wires, run them through the little holes, and then put this other plate on here and bolt it down right about here. And I'll get back with you. This is what it looks like, all crossed over here. Thought I'd show you before I put the next plate on. Alright, here we go. Pop it back together. Some slack in the Breakaway. And got the brake cable. We'll adjust that as need be. So that's done. I zip tied the Breakaway to the conduit for the brake system and then ran it down like I'd said before. So should be a pretty good setup. We got our brake up here, which seems to work pretty good. We'll put a camera on that and see what it does when I go in and step on the brake. Lastly, I put a little silicone around the cable. Put a little silicone around the cable with a breakaway like it suggested. Time to do a little trial setup with the 7.3. See how it goes. I have to get some extensions on these. This added distance here. Nope, that worked good. No problem. Alrighty. Sure, let's pull our brake. Anything there? Well, this will be an interesting test run. I'm a little concerned. I don't like this brake cable, the way it catches up on all this stuff. I'm afraid when I turn, it might activate it. So, to deal with that, I may move this up here. That's what I'm thinking, to eliminate this contact. Of course, I have to see what it looks like when it's hooked to the motorhome. It may sit different, but I'm pretty confident I'm going to end up moving that up. That's what it looks like. But nevertheless, for now, we're hooked up. We're going to make the block. I got no lights, so I don't want to get too carried away. But breakaway deal, I don't know. I'll probably change that up a little. Well, we'll see. Okay, reverse. We give it a little gas. We got nothing. Drive. A little gas. We got nothing. Then we go to neutral. And we shut it off. And then we go to park, so we don't grind the parking gear. Now this one doesn't have a lock on the steering wheel, so I don't have to leave the key in it or anything. So we should be completely freewheeled now. Next thing we do is come over here to the fuse box. I believe it's this fuse here that we pull. Let me see if that's right. this does is keep us from racking up miles, I believe, on the odometer. Yeah, so we got no dash activity, so I'm pretty sure I got the right one there. Okay, let's take it for a drive. First pull is successful, I'd say. Got a little slack in this. I still think I'm probably going to move it up because I don't like this here. But it didn't really feel like the pickup was stopping, but it's kind of hard to tell. But it stopped easily, so I'm not super concerned about it. So there you go. There's the ready brake and the ready brake breakaway cable and everything in action. So next time we'll get everything set up on the motorhome end, and we need to do the lights, of course, here pretty soon. So there you go.